Evening, everyone. I'm gonna have to use my mic. Whenever you do speak, a quick note, we'll have to use the mic because it does get recorded and passed over to YouTube. That'd be helpful. Turn it on. Show business. Evening, everyone. My name is Xavier Santiago. Want to welcome you to tonight's full board meeting. It is October 24th. It is approximately 6:52 p.m. I'm the chair of CB11. We're officially calling this meeting to order. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Angel Mescane, sitting to my left, and Assistant District Manager Khalid Nixon. As a brief note, I just wanted to say we are very thankful for the hybrid environment. We're very thankful for our hosts at the Museum of the City of New York, who I'm going to welcome up in just a moment. And I want to remind everyone that because we're maintaining an observance of OML, open meetings laws, and the hybrid environment, we have to maintain the videographer here. Now, unfortunately, because they're working 24/7, it seems they have a bit of a hard out by 9:30. So I'm going to ask everyone to be very efficient and productive with the meeting. And I appreciate all of you being here on time. So thank you very much. Few ground rules. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, one, no one may speak until granted the floor. Two, CB11 members, if you have a question or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. You should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Members attending via Zoom can find the raise hand button by first clicking the participants icon to access the panel where the button is located. If you have any technical issues, please relay your difficulty to the staff in the chat. The chat should not be used to discuss or pose questions about agenda topics. All such remarks must be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. 3, members of the public, you can register to speak in the public session by completing the pre-registration form and providing their name, affiliation, and the topic of their comments. A link to the registration form has been shared in the chat. The link is also accessible from the meeting agenda. Registration for public session will close at 7:15. And with that, we will now take attendance.
Good evening, everyone. Jose Altamirano, Stephanie Arroyo, April Autry is excused. Adem Briha, Mark B, Jihad Chaudhry, Karim Koser, Devon Cronchow is excused. Kenneth Crouch, Carlos Diaz, Rosa Diaz, Angela Donadell, Jessica Elliott, Judith Febrero, Raja Flores is excused. Brandon Gillespie, David Giordano, John Green, Annie Hansen, Wanda Hopkins, Christina Johnson, Jewel Jones, Sharon Lynch. I'm sorry, did someone say something? Okay. Beverly McFarland, I will speak. Jessica Morris, Nilsa Orama, Beverly Pabon, Arturo Perez is excused. Claudia Perez, Asha Rodriguez, Eugene Rodriguez, Dawn Sanders, Xavier Santiago, Isaac Scott, Russell Schuler, Loretta So, Vincent Torres, Anne Marie Vasquez, Jason Jason Villanueva, Candy Vives Vasquez, Michelle Wilshire Clement, I am here, Jordan Wright, and Jason Wu. Beautiful. Thank you for everyone that is here.
Quorum is present.
I gotcha.
Yes. Angela Donadell and
Angela Donadell.
Stephanie Arroyo are both present.
Was Sage Mason marked as excused?
Yes, you were marked as excused.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. A quorum is present. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted on our website's meetings calendar. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Seeing no raised hands and no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. We will now move on to pre-registered speakers. A few ground rules for those speaking. And before we begin, we're going to introduce our lovely hosts. But the ground rules: 1, you must sign up to give testimony by providing your name and affiliation. 2, you will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Our recommendation is to speak for 2 minutes and then allow 1 minute for questions. 3, you should address your testimony to the board, not the public. 4, you should speak clearly and into the microphone. 5, you should be prepared to respond to board members' questions in order to clarify facts and opinions presented in your comments. A reminder, board members should only ask clarifying questions. Commentary will not be entertained. And has anyone signed up? Okay, wonderful. Yep. Before we do that, I'm going to introduce Jerry Gallagher and Stephanie Wilchford are from the Museum of the City of New York. Our hosts, give a round of applause, please. Come on.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Jerry Gallagher. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the museum, and it's so nice to see so many friends here back at the museum. And it's my great pleasure to introduce the museum's new Director and President, Stephanie Hill Wilchford.
Jerry. I just wanted to welcome all of you here. I'm so delighted that we host community board meetings in this museum. I see that as an essential role that museums should play in their communities. And so I find it very meaningful that we're doing this and gathering here today. And I'll just say that I'm very excited to be thinking about how to work more with the community board. I'm very excited to be thinking about new exhibitions, new programming that we can do here at the museum. One event that is coming up is on December 9th. We are going to be hosting a community day around our gingerbread exhibition. This is a exhibit of gingerbread houses built by local bakers throughout the 5 boroughs. We're very excited about the exhibition. It will be a day of for families. We'll be giving away some treats, and there may be a special guest in our lobby, and his name may be Santa. So I'm very hopeful that Santa will be joining us. We'll see what else is on his agenda. But I'm very excited about that, and I hope to see you all there. And I just want to remind everybody that the Museum of the City of New York is pay what you wish. It is a free resource to not just members of this community, but members of all communities. And so, we hope people give us a little bit of love at the door, but please come in and use us as a free space to hang out, get a cup of coffee, spend just a little bit of time in the exhibitions. You may not have a lot of time, but if you have like 20 minutes, it's free. Come and hang out and see what's going on here. We will love to see you. I have cards here, my card. I'm going to put them out on the table outside so people can pick them up. It's been my practice to provide my email address and my phone number to members of the community. If you have questions, if you have an issue, if there's something that you want to do, I am I will try to get to everybody as quickly as possible. Give me a couple of days. Sometimes takes me a little while. I'll just close by saying I come from CB8 in Brooklyn, and CB8 is the community board that I'm closest to. It's Crown Heights, Brooklyn. And I'm really, I really loved working with them. So I'm hoping for a new spiritual home here at CB11, and very excited. I will take one or two questions if people have them, but if not, I'll just leave these up at the front, and people can ask questions directly by email.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Nilsson.
Yes, 100%. So I am SWILCH, F as in Frank, ORT as in Tom, Swilchfort, at mcny.org. And I'm going to have to look at my card to tell you the phone number because I don't know it yet. Okay, it is 917-492-3300. Thanks, Jerry. You could tell that I can't really see the card that well. Yes, and please do use it. Better email than phone. I'm not so great on the phone, and I haven't totally figured out how to use the voicemail yet.
Hi, Stephanie. Just really quick, just want to say welcome and thank you from the Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. We have been hosting our CB11 East Harlem Earth Day conference at the Museum of the City of New York for the last 2 years, and talk about that again this upcoming month. So we look forward to being in communication with you about that for the upcoming year.
Terrific.
Thank you.
We love it. All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Another round.
Oh, I'm running out, just to say, I'm running out to go to an event for our Manny Vega show. So I apologize for leaving early, but most community board meetings, I'll try and stay for the whole thing.
Thank you. Do we have any other publicly registered speakers? Seeing.
Yes, hello.
You have not been recognized.
Sorry.
We have no online. Do we have it? No. Stand by. Daryl, you've been recognized.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Darrell Anderson from Harlem Grown. And I wanted to provide some information about our Culture, Creativity, and Care initiative that will be in Marcus Garvey Park. This initiative has funded multiple events in Marcus Garvey Park this past summer. And we aim to do the same thing again for summer 2024. We currently have a request for proposal form on our website, harlemgrown.org, for those interested in bringing programming to Marcus Garvey Park. And the programming will need to be something that will benefit the Harlem community or New York community overall. The deadline to submit a proposal is November 1st, 2023. And the maximum that we're funding for proposals is $50,000. So I just wanted to inform the community board for anyone who's interested in bringing some kind of program into the park. We just wanted to inform you about that. The email address that you can contact us is ccci@harlemgrown.org. So yeah, we hope that, and you can also contact us for more information too. I know we have a limited time to speak, so if anyone has questions.
Are there any questions? Yes, Michelle.
Daryl, I wanted to find out the events that people could do could be anything from having a 5K race to having a project, an art installation project that's temporary. So it's really a huge amount of space to think outside the box. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So the name of the initiative is Culture, Creativity, and Care. And so we really try to leave it open. It just our main criteria is that it has to be in Marcus Garvey Park and it has to show that it will benefit the community.
Thank you. And we'd like to invite you to our Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee on November 2nd. And you may attend as a hybrid meeting as well, but you're also welcome to come in person to the board office. And our vice chair here on the executive committee is also the chair of that committee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next. All right, Kent Trompez, you've been recognized. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Ken Trumpis and I live in East Harlem, 2nd Avenue and 116th Street. The reason why I wanted to make a comment in this meeting is because I want to object one of the items of the agenda, and is the renewal of the liquor license for the Colina Bar Corp. Because the licensee is not complying with his obligations, and there has been fights and outside the bar, and it's not respecting also the noise code of New York.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from our board members? Yes, Michelle.
What was the name of the bar again, please?
It is Colina Bar Corp.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Adem. In case you did not hear, Kent, did you make any reports on 311 regarding Colina?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, we're going to move along to Pilar Wilkins with the mobile food pantry. Pilar, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes. Pilar Wilkins. Okay. Going to move along. Taisha Smalls from We Act. Taisha.
Hi, I'm Taisha. I'm the community organizer at We Act. So I just want to bring 2 things to your attention. So we're actually having a community justice town hall meeting tomorrow at 4:50 at Prince Hall Grand Lodge between 6 and 8. We're going to be talking about the Community Land Act and then also letting people know more about that act. And we're going to have different coalitions talk about more of it, about housing. So I'm asking the board if they would like to participate. If you have any questions, you can contact myself. My name is spelled TYISHA at weact.org. And then my second thing is that we'll have our annual membership meeting this November 18th, Saturday, November 18th, where we're going over our 2024 policy agenda, as well as our own planning committee will be talking about our 311 trash. So I will also send an email with a flyer with that as well. Thank you.
Any questions for Taisha? Okay, thank you for joining us. Next, we have Miriam De Jesus regarding the Target store at East River Plaza. Miriam, you have 3 minutes. Miriam De Jesus. Okay. We will circle back. Okay. Timothy Harrell. NYC CCRB. Timothy Harrell.
Yes, I apologize for earlier. I just wanted to make a quick 2-minute announcement. My name is Timothy Harrell. I'm with the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. For those who may or may not know, we're a New York City agency separate and independent from the NYPD. We investigate, mediate, and in some cases prosecute allegations of misconduct against members of the NYPD. Really quick, on November 2nd, we are going to have our international youth summit. We have young people from around the world, literally. This is a youth event that is for youth by youth. We're just pretty much just setting the stage. These young people are actually creating the questionings, creating the panels, and they are pretty much in control of this conversation. As always, it's about police community relations and how to improve that. So that will be on November 2nd. I have sent out emails to the community boards. I will send out another round of emails, and anyone in this meeting, I would encourage or ask to any youth that you know to please have them ask them to participate in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Timothy. Are there any questions from our board members? Yes, Rosa. Is it in person or on Zoom, Timothy?
It's virtual.
Virtual. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay. Would you kindly provide your email and phone number?
Yes. My email is T Harrell. That's HARRELL at ccrb.nyc.gov, and I can be reached at 347-576-7418. And we will have interpretation services because we do have youth from around the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Eva Chan with the land use application Tamale Terrace. Eva, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm going to keep it short. I represent a Harlem East Block Association, and many of you have heard of our concerns of the development at Tamale Terrace because of the excessive number of supportive housing for individuals with serious mental health issues being brought into the neighborhood. And related to this, I want to specifically make a comment about the current draft that is up for the board to approve. One of the conditions for approval is related to Tamale Terrace setting up a community advisory board. We certainly applaud this clause being added to the petition. I think one thing I want to clarify is we really hope that if Lantern organization is going to be managing 3 buildings in one intersection, that this advisory board really should be tasked with the mission to not only improve the operation of its own building, but also help work with government agencies to manage and improve quality of life issues around the area, including working with NYPD and various outreach workers. We have petitioned, for the last 2 years for government agency to set up a task force specifically for this area due to public safety concerns. And we haven't really heard from the government. So I think this will be an opportunity to partner with a large-scale social service provider in the area to try to accomplish this purpose. Hoping they might have more funding and better organization than the officials that we've been speaking to. And related to that, it is also important if Lantern organization is going to be managing against 3 large buildings that they are committed to working with local small businesses, not just during the build phase, right? Going forward to use local restaurants as caterer, local coaches, and trainers and whatnot. So another thing that we hope is the Community Advisory Board will be tasked with partnering with local businesses to improve local economic development for small businesses.
Any questions from our board members? Seeing that there are none, thank you very much for your time, Eva. Next, we have Delia Cintron, also commenting on the land use application known as Timbali Terrace. Delia, you have 3 minutes. Delia Cintron. Okay.
I just wanted to add to what Eva Chan has said. I'm opposed to this Timbali Terrace. I think the oversaturation is very real. You know, to invite more of those coming into the neighborhood who don't live here, who have issues and concerns, I don't think that's an added value to the neighborhood. I think that when you walk through the threshold of Community Board 11, your headquarters, that says community first. The first word there is community. That's this community. So I'm concerned about the mental health and welfare and well-being of residents who live here, who no longer feel safe to walk out the streets as they are now with all the oversaturation of what's going on here. It's high crime, a lot of drugs, and I just see more invitation to, you know, individuals who need a lot of help. And I don't think that there's the infrastructure here that things are being paid attention to with regards to the health and welfare of residents who live here. That's all I have to say. I'm really upset about this. And the, you know, does it get any worse? We're losing Target. I don't see any good news, you know? The only thing positive, I'm glad that you're sitting at the Museum of the City of New York. I think we have a tremendous amount of talent in East Harlem. I would love to see local artists profiled, lifted up, the neighborhood lifted up in some way. Some good news other than constant East Harlem associated with crime, oversaturation of drugs, and everything else, and everything negative. It's appalling. I just don't understand why people sit on boards and they're not in touch with the community in a real way that makes a difference and lifts the community up. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Delia. Are there any questions from our board members? See that there are none. I'm going to go back to Pilar Wilkins. Everyone, the crosstalk, please. Pilar Wilkins. Miriam De Jesus. Miriam De Jesus. Thank you very much. All right, we are now going to transition into our publicly elected. Yes, Angela. Pilar Wilkins is? Okay. Okay, great. We will continue on until she gets here. Thank you very much for that note, Angela. Appreciate that. We're going to transition with that one publicly registered speaker being held open until she arrives. And we will now transition to our publicly elected officials. And we have pre-registered. First up, we're going to go to District Leader Tamika Mapp. You're here? Okay, come on up to the mic. Same rules, 2 minutes, 1 minute for questions. Thank you very much for joining us in person.
Well, like everybody said, I am Tamika Mapp. I'm the district leader for Part D. I'm also your state committee woman. There's a couple things that I'm going to be doing for the month of November. We have a legislation committee. We're going to be diving deep into social works and courtrooms. We're going to be diving deep into RAD, PAC, and the preservation of trust. And we're going to be doing deep in for co-ops and condos, because some condos is losing their tax abatements. And we're trying to figure out how can we save our affordable co-ops and condos. December 1st, we're taking the seniors to bingo. So if you want to come to bingo, have a good old time, make sure you see me. October 26th, I will be at the 25th precinct with trunk or treat. My car will be the Buick, be decked out with the funny stuff for passing out candy with the kids. December 16th, I'm doing winter wishes. These winter wishes is a little bit different because I'm asking kids to tell me 3 things they want, because I don't like to give toys to kids that they want, so they can actually play with the toys. So in November is the housing committee meeting. That will be on November 2nd. If you're interested, please come in. We dive in housing issues from public housing to rental to co-ops. No housing is unscathed because everybody's housing is under attack, regardless if you live in public housing, rental, or a co-op. We're losing our affordable co-ops. That means we're losing our affordable home ownership. And if we lose our public housing, our rentals is next. We already have a big thing when it comes to shelters, and we don't want displacement. So I'm a big proponent against the Preservation Trust, RED, and PAC, because we need to keep Section 9. Section 9 is the only true affordable housing that we have in the state of New York. So if you want to work, if you want to do some legislation, you know where to find me. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and everywhere else as Friends of Tamika. My email is T as in Tom, Mac, like the map with an extra P, at cc68ad.com. My cell phone number is 347-523-4410. And if you're here for distractions, I don't have time for that. I'm here to do legislation only. So please contact me if you're serious about working. Thank you. It's virtual. For right now, it's virtual until we find an office space. I'm hoping to be in an office space in March of 2024.
A question about early voting, whether there's any initiatives locally, early voting starts on Saturday, and is it the first time that people can do same-day registration on Saturday? I'm not sure that our young people in our community know about it, so I was just curious if there's anything.
Yes, on October 28th, my team will be at Six Flags The Fright Fest because we're taking the community there. But October 29th, we'll be at every polling site. I'll be knocking on everybody's door to make sure they come out to vote. So I have a team just for that. And I also have my polling location staff, so they actually aware of the process. Me and a team of 15 people going to be knocking on doors all through early voting and on election day, because no election we can't afford to lose. And my goal as a district leader is to make sure people come out to vote. No matter who they vote for is turnout. So I'll be knocking on doors personally with a team of 15 people.
Thank you very much, Tamika. Thank you for the question. All right, next we have District Leader William Smith. So I'm floating around. There you are. You have your 3.
Good evening, CB11. How y'all doing today? Good to see all of you. So I'm handing out flyers today. I've done a partnership with New York City for Youth. It's an up-and-coming non-for-profit from West Harlem that's has a big focus on jobs and making sure we connect our community of all different walks of life and ages to jobs, specifically in the building trade. So I'm handing out these flyers to encourage people to get the source of information. It's not necessarily a direct pathway to work yet. We're still working on partnerships for that, but at least we'll be able to get the information out to the community and make them aware so that we can make that a key focus in our community when we think about ways to alleviate crime and all those other issues. So I'll hand these out to everybody. Also, in regards to the Timbali terrorist project, I don't know if they're reviewing that tonight. However, I would encourage all the board members in the community to think about if the percentages of affordability are adequate given the challenges in our community. So regardless of whether you're for it, against it, and I know there's a lot of other variables in this debate or issue, just think about the fact that we need higher percentages of affordability. I think is it 50%? Is that the percentage for that project?
It's 100% affordable.
100%. And how many from the local community?
50% community preference.
Yeah, 50% is not enough. It should be 75, 85%. we should see 100 or actually 100% from 129 or CB11. Because too many of these projects that are coming up in our community, we don't see anybody that's from our community moving into these buildings. We see some of them very small percentages, but we need to see higher percentages. So we need the community board as well as the board members and the members that are here in attendance to hold the community board to task, as well as the elected officials on monitoring that and enacting policies that can address that. So I just thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you to everyone for your service.
Thank you. Any questions for William Smith? Okay. Moving right along, we have in our public officials, we have Sophia Sikor from Senator Serrano's. I believe she's online. Sophia? What? Oh, you had a question. Oh, okay. If you could hold on, Sophia, we had a publicly registered speaker just arrived. Pilar Wilkins? Yeah, you have your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pilar Wilkins. I am the assistant principal at Renaissance School of the Arts here in East Harlem, 117th between 1st and 2nd. I just wanted to bring to your attention that we have a mobile food pantry that meets once a month. So we just had one yesterday. It was fantastic. We fed over 200 people. Our next one is November 20th, followed by December 18th. Again, the address is 319, pardon me, East 117th Street. Anybody and everybody, it doesn't matter where you live. You can live in the Bronx. If you need food, please come to the pantry, which is shopping cart. Come early. The line is long. We are extended all the way to June 2024. I have business cards, so I will leave my business cards so that you can email me, and I will forward you all of the flyers that I have. We make sure that we can speak to our patrons who speak Cantonese and Spanish. So we have it handled. I just want to feed the community. I know what it is to be hungry, and I just want to make sure that everybody can eat. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? There's a question, Pilar. Yes.
I'm going to give you my business card so that you can volunteer, but you can also email me at letsfeedharleminc@gmail.com. 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 Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Sophia Sikor from Senator Serrano's office. Thank you for your patience.
Hey everyone, this is Sophie with Senator Serrano's office. I hope everyone's having a good fall. It's been pretty busy for us. The senators had a few different events in the district. We had the free legal service van from NYLAG in front of our office last week in East Harlem, giving out free legal services to people in the community, handing out COVID tests and masks, which, by the way, if anyone's in need of COVID tests or masks, you can stop by our office anytime, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and just get them. We have a ton of them available if you're in need of them. Maggie's Garden just celebrated their 30th anniversary, which the senator attended. That's a great green space in the community. We do have an upcoming event at Stanley Isaacs Neighborhood Center in partnership with the New York State Citizen Preparedness Corps. We have an emergency preparedness training. It's on November 2nd. You do have to register for the event, and it's a limited space. So if you do want to attend, please reach out to us. I'm going to give the contact at the end, and we can help register you. Everyone who attends will get a free emergency preparedness backpack. As always, our office is available to assist you with any concerns you may have. Come visit us Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. We're at 335 East 100th Street, in between 1st and 2nd Ave. Or, you can give us a call or email. The phone is 212-828-5829, and the email is serrano@nysenate.gov. Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you very much for being with us. Next up, we have Elsie Encarnacion from the Deputy Speaker Ayala's office. Elsie?
Good evening, everyone. This is Elsie Encarnacion from Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala's office. I wanted to just start by highlighting my appreciation, for the community board members. Since you guys have come back in session, there has been a huge amount of collaboration and communication from the community board members. I want to thank specifically the Land Use Committee. I know that you guys have been listening, deliberating, and ultimately have put forth a resolution with conditions in regards to the Timbala Terrace project. It is not in our district, but as part of the ULIP process, the Deputy Speaker will have an opportunity to vote on this project. And so, we really appreciate the input and the feedback, and we will use that in our communications with HPD to hopefully, put together a proposal for the community that they will be proud of. We're not there yet, but we're hoping to get there. And I think that resolutions like these really help push that needle. So thank you for all of your work. I also wanted to thank Jose Altamirano for his outreach in regards to the 128th Street footbridge project. It doesn't happen often, but in this case, DOT had not shown us that proposal prior to coming to the community board. And so that was really the first level of engagement that we had around the project. He even gave me a tour of this space and let me know what the committee had spoken about and what the issues were there. And so because of that outreach and that advocacy, we have started communications with the Department of Transportation around that project. And so, I just wanted to kind of uplift that. And also wanted to thank Anne Marie Vasquez and Giselle Malave for reaching out in regards to La Marqueta and the work that they're doing with EcoDev and the Statement of District Needs. So just a ton of collaboration and communication from community board members. And I just think that that is exactly what makes this community so great. And I'm just really, really grateful for that. Oh, sorry. I was trying to time myself so I didn't get over. So that's what you heard. I guess I'm over, but just one last plug. I just really want to say that we're having our Halloween event on the 31st at La Placita. Please bring out the kiddies. Make sure they come out. It's a safe space. There's going to be arts and crafts, bouncy houses, candy. And we also are a site for the New York Cares coat drive. So please bring your lightly used coats. Drop them off. We have a big blue box in our office. So please be sure to drop them off at 105 East 116th Street, and then I'll stop.
Thank you. Any questions for Elsie? Yes, Eugene. What is the status from Eugene Rodriguez? What is the status of the Julia de Burgos Cultural Arts Center?
I knew it was coming, Eugene. So we are still having communications with EDC. We are, it's not going to be a quick process. We, again, are still committed to having community lead that project and also be arts and cultural space and continue to be that. But we are still in communication with both EDC and a number of partners who we're looking to be in that space. I think our next meeting is towards the end of November, and so hopefully we'll have some feedback by then.
Thank you for the question, Eugene, and please keep us informed if there is a tour that could be arranged. One last one, Mark Ogerski. It is not. It's currently in the council member Kristen Richardson Jordan's, but it is in our community district. So we still have to participate in you. Thank you. Seeing no other questions, we'll move along to the mayor's office. Tiffany Brown.
Good evening, CB11. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to make two short announcements this evening. The first announcement is Mayor Adams and the Commissioner Caron for HPD have taken action to connect New Yorkers to affordable housing more quickly by eliminating unnecessary credit checks for voucher holders, which this is a good thing for New Yorkers with rental assistance vouchers undergoing credit checks and providing rental history represent unnecessary barriers to obtaining affordable housing since their ability to pay rent is guaranteed by either their qualification for a rental subsidy or by the rental subsidy connected to the affordable unit. This is great. So I just wanted CB11 and the community to know, if you know anyone that's in a shelter system right now, or if someone is holding on to a voucher and they were rejected due to their prior credit history, this has now been eliminated. So it should make the process for them very much easier to get housing now. And then I also wanted just to announce that Mayor Adams has his new radio show, Hear from the Mayor, which is on WBLS on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. And if anyone of his constituents or anyone wants to call in, they can feel free to do so at 212-545-1075. Once again, that number is 212-545-1075. I am your Manhattan Borough Director in the Mayor's Office for Community Affairs. And if anyone needs to get in touch with me, my regards that I'm not present for this meeting, but I will be in person at the next one. But until then, if anyone needs to reach me, please feel free to do so at TI.Brown@cityhall.nyc.gov. Once again, that's TI.Brown@cityhall.nyc.gov. And I can be also reached at, my cell is 347-939-3984. Once again, that's 347-939-3984. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Tiffany? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to our borough president's report. Our borough president is not with us this evening, but in his place is Eric Coelho, representing BP Mark Levine. Eric?
Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm not with you in person, but happy to be here to deliver a report on behalf of the Borough President's Office. I first actually want to shout out Elsie, who was speaking earlier, and Team Deputy Speaker Ayala's office for joining Team Levine last week. We were out handing COVID tests and N95 masks to those on 116th Street starting their morning commute. So thank you for your partnership for that. Hopefully you saw us out there. So just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. First, our fall leadership training series is going to be starting for all community board members. This is a training series that we host. They're roughly about an hour-long virtual training session where we provide tools and instructions on best practices for managing meetings and other assistance that we can provide. Some of the trainings are EEO, which is equal employment opportunity, conflict of interest, combating implicit bias, and many more. So that will be the week of November 13th through the 17th. We will be sending out an email and sending out all the calendar invites if you're able to join. Just a couple quick things. Our office is going to be launching a day of action. So the day of action will be on Saturday, November 4th from 12 to 2 with several community cleanups happening around the borough. If you're interested in volunteering with Team Levine, please go to our website. Under resources, we have a section called the Volunteer Corps. It's going to be a great day all across the borough doing some much needed neighborhood cleanups. Just wanted to flag with COVID cases still at elevated levels. We're reminding folks to make sure that they get their flu and their COVID shots. Many pharmacies, including some of the larger chains, have appointments available with the recently released vaccine. And I also want to note that you can go to covid.gov/tests in order to get free tests from the federal government. And then finally, just two last things. Just want to thank everyone who attended the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, which was celebrating Latinos in tech at the 92nd Street Y. And then finally wanted to thank your chair, Xavier Santiago, and the other chairs who joined the Manhattan Borough President at Borough Board. We passed a resolution to support a statewide right to counsel for New Yorkers facing legal proceedings, trying to make sure that we can slow the rate of eviction in this city, making sure people have access to lawyers. So thank you, Xavier, and everyone who was able to attend that as well. With that, I will wrap up, but have a great meeting, and I'm happy to take questions if anyone has.
Any questions from our board members? Seeing that there are none, that concludes our publicly registered speakers. We will now move into our board business. The minutes from the last, and it is approximately 7:41 p.m. The minutes from the last full board meeting were distributed ahead of time by the board office. If there are no objections, we will adopt the minutes from that meeting. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Seeing that there are no hands raised, the agenda is adopted. The minutes are adopted. Sorry. A little bit tired this evening. We'll move on now to the chair's report. I'm going to keep it very brief. I want to say thank you to everyone. Last full board was an endurance run, a bit of a marathon, but in a trial by fire for our new members in person. I want to commend all of you because everything was handled in, although impassioned but respectful way. We kept our comments succinct, on time, and despite what side you were on, both the members of the public, the board, we listened openly and we listened respectfully, and everyone was able to say, I had my three. So I want to implore everyone going into the holiday season, and furthermore, I'd like you to say, carry on with that spirit. And before I go further into my chair report, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the tragedy that's happening halfway across the planet in Israel. Thank you. Most of the information here is for information purposes only. Obviously, we finished up Hispanic Heritage Month. A lot of celebration went to the Gracie Mansion, also to Arch Care, where they were honoring several Hispanics who have had a massive impact on the community and city of New York. I want to give a little shout out to one of our new members, Kareem Koser, who invited me to Youth Action Youth Build to speak to their cohorts. And for me, walking into the room and also running into even Juju Eugene Rodriguez, one of our board members' sons. We were both there speaking on the same day, but in different messages. One of the things that was wonderful is to see how open they were to listening to solutions, about leaning in and about taking ownership of community service. Something as simple as just picking up around your block. And it all starts from decluttering the mind by decluttering your physical space, no matter how, if that's the only thing you have to control. And they were very open to that messaging and looking at, as when I was growing up, community service was given as a penance, if you will, a punitive measure, and letting them see that they can empower themselves in service to their community. At the end, I gave out cards and said, hey, if you're 16 and up, apply next year. And we've seen a lot of success with that. Something I want to highlight. And again, this is little ways we as board members can contribute to the community. And I hope that you will engage in those opportunities as well. With that, I want to say thank you. On a positive note, Children's Aid Society and Uptown Grand Central, we did our painting on Sunday. Asher and David were out there, even dragged out my eldest, and we all got a little paint on our smocks and our shoes, but it's all primed so we can actually have that construction fence beautified for the upcoming rebuild of Children's Aid Society. So thank you. With that, concludes my report. Next, we will have the district manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be even briefer, but I did want to highlight one thing from the report that I think is of importance for folks in the community and on the board more particularly to be aware of. A couple of months ago, the city council approved the new open restaurants program, which has subsequently been rebranded Dining Out New York City. This is the sidewalk cafe, restaurants in the middle of the street thing. Sorry, I'm drawing my bias. Anyway, beside that, so it was passed at council, but the rules were not enacted yet. So now they're starting the rule making process. So the Department of Transportation is proposing to establish rules and requirements relating to the Dining Out New York City program, including the granting of licenses and revocable consents for sidewalk and roadway cafes, operational requirements and siting and design criteria for sidewalk and roadway seating areas, and enforcement procedures. DOT will hold a public hearing on the proposed rules on online on November 20th at 10 a.m. I've shared this on the community board, community events calendar. There's also a link to hearings in our newsletter. I encourage you to take the opportunity to read the draft rules and regs, because before we know it, this will be in place and there'll be a million questions about why is this on my block, why is this on my street, etc. So this is the opportunity to get in on the ground floor in terms of understanding what's being proposed and providing feedback to some of the ideas that, perhaps need a little pushback on. So again, encouraging you to read the proposed rules and reminding you that the hearing is on November 20th.
Thank you. That concludes the district manager's report. Do you have an officer's report, Jess?
Hi, everyone. Jessica Elliott, Vice Chair. I do not have a report for you today, but I do want to say thank you to the staff of the community board, all of the members of the community board, the city agencies and the elected officials that we were able to work together on the statement of district needs process, which was an exorbitant, as usual, process and a huge hurdle every year, and that we are working with the powers that be to make this a more successful outcome every year moving forward. So thank you, everyone, for your hard work on an important process.
Give yourselves a round of applause. You actually leaned in and did a lot of good work. So do we have a treasurer's report, Jason?
It doesn't, just like a screen, so I forgot how to use it. Good evening, everyone. Jason, your treasurer. Today's treasurer's report. Each fiscal year, community boards are allocated funding by the OMB, which is the Office of Management and Budget, to cover staff, salaries, or personal services, non-salary expenditures, or other than personal services, and the board office rent costs per the terms of the respective leases. In addition, they may receive allocations, discretionary funding from City Council. That being said, I'm going to give you the end of year report for fiscal year 2023. This will be a part of the minutes package for this month's meeting. So last year, our allocation was $258,349, which $253,712 was spent, $4,637 was sent back. I promise you we could talk more about it. Yeah, we could. The discretionary funding was $27,500 and $20,200 was spent. $7,300 was sent back for last year. And I know it sounds like a lot, but yeah, we have to get more engaged. The funding for this year is $257,105, which is approximately almost $2,000 less than last year. And this year, only two council speakers have allocated funding, $10,000 from Diana Yala and Julia Menon, $5,000. Any questions?
Beverly.
Correct.
Oh, thank you.
This will all be provided in the minute package. I promise you can dissect it, have more conversation over the course of the next 30 to 60 days.
Justin.
That's the goal. As you heard, there's been a significant, I shouldn't say significant, but there has been some fundings cut. So there will be discussions at the executive committee to see if that would still apply for all of the committees as it is. Any other questions?
Michelle.
Has all of the committee members used those discretionary funds previously? Have any of the community board members, committees, monies been returned?
I think that's an open-ended question, but the answer is yes.
Okay. Thank you. And again, this was discussed at a previous full board and an executive that once we are funded for the next fiscal calendar year, which obviously begins July 1, that the DM, along with the treasurer, and then reporting back to executive, would be able to assess as we progress through the year, because we have unexpected expenses, including but not limited to an increased cost to have videographers here to live stream. That is something that was expressed and was actually a new request that came up, because that's an incurred cost that was unexpected. But again, that's an evolving statement. So one last question, Angela.
That funding in a place. When we got close to the end of the year, we were told to spend all the money. So is there a particular reason why we gave money back? We could not find something to allocate those funds for. There wasn't something that was needed that we could utilize, because in many instances, you don't get the same. Maybe this is different. But sometimes if you don't spend all your money, you don't get the same amount of money back the next year. And they reduce your money.
Jason.
Oh, that's a great statement. And I would look forward to any of the board members to get involved and continue to have that conversation about how we can, responsibly use the funds, because that's typically the challenge with using tax dollars, is ensuring that we utilize it in a responsible and accountable fashion. So I agree with you where we could wait till the end of the year, but I'd push you guys a little further. We're in the beginning of the fiscal year. Let's have the conversation now. I personally, being treasurer for the last 6 years, I have the same passionate commitments that you guys all do, or people, in the sense of ensuring that we utilize the funds and really engage with the community, right? Like, that's the whole goal. So you people are more than welcome to submit ideas, but I'd take the first step, bring it back to committee, see what is relevant to your respective committee, speak to your chairs, and let's continue to have the conversation.
Thank you, Jason. Nilsa, and then I'd like to move to Nelson.
I don't know if it's on. Oh, okay. It is not a given that it is not a given that we are given money for our committees. That is something that the community board, depending on unspent funds, can allocate if they have it. So I just want to be clear that it's not that we are given money for us to spend while in our budget. We allocate some monies to have community events. That doesn't mean that every year you're going to have $500 to spend. So it depends on the expenditures for the year. As you know, the New York City right now is in a budget crunch. They are freezing a lot of departments. And so while we are fortunate that sometimes it seems like we have a surplus, when we return money, it doesn't necessarily mean we didn't spend it. It means that the money was allocated in a line that we couldn't spend it how we would want to. So depending on what the line is, that can be funds that are returned that has nothing to do with us not spending it because we didn't pay attention. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, because it's important that we don't look like we're just sitting on dollars that we're not spending or not using for the community, because that is not a true picture all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'll entertain one more question from our board members. Jewel? I'd have to review the bylaws, so quarterly. Thank you. Okay, seeing no further questions from our board members, I'm going to move to our secretary. Do you have a report? Jessica, you had a follow-up? We will have to see if Angel and the treasurer can have time to meet then. Thank you for raising that. I appreciate that question. Thank you. We will.
That doesn't take away from submitting the CCII form. So please continue to have the conversations at the committee, make the propositions which you shared, and then that way the conversation is a lot more fruitful at executive. Thank you.
All right, moving on, Michelle.
I do not have a secretarial report, but I did have a beautiful video thing that I wanted to show at one point. But it's obsolete now.
Well, she had a prepared presentation for June, but unfortunately, given the rollback of the EO, we weren't able to have that in person. So thank you very much. That concludes our officers' reports. Moving on to our committee reports and action items. First up is housing. John Green.
Good morning, John.
Good evening, everybody. John Green here, Chair of the Housing Committee. First, I said, since I wasn't at the last full board meeting, it's a pleasure meeting some of the new members since this is my first full board meeting in more than 3 years. So I just want to say welcome to everybody. And I hope all of you had a good summer and hope you have a good 2024 because the new year is coming fast. But as far as the housing committee meeting for October, I was not there, but the thing is that I don't have to be there for the carry on. I have to thank Dawn Sanders, the vice chair, and Marlene Pierre, from the office staff, for making sure that things flowed smoothly. Everything in the minutes is for entertainment purposes only, and actually the thing, all there was an update on a veterans residence, and also we talked about district needs. That way, Stephanie Arroyo's job can be a lot easier. So basically, that's it. And that's all I have to. Are there any questions?
Any questions for John?
Good.
Thank you, John. Up next, we have licenses and permits. Adem, our chair of licenses and permits.
All right, this is gonna be quick. We just had, I think, 4. I said this last month, but I'll say it again. If it's a denial and I don't give you more reasons, it was either they didn't show up or they were missing required documents. First up was Alex 123 Corp., a new application for a beer and cider license. The committee recommended that application be denied. Number 2, LeBlanc Pizza Restaurant Corp., new application for a wine, beer, and cider license. Committee recommended that application be denied. Number 3, Centeon Corp., a new application for a wine, beer, and cider license. The committee recommended that application be approved. Number 4, Food for Your Soul LLC, doing business as, well, I don't need to say that, renewal application for a full liquor license. Committee recommended that application be denied. And we did have somebody spoke in the public portion. They were missing their 7-day notice, so that went to executive. I think Colina Bar Corp., they're going to be talked about in the executive portion. And we didn't have any street activity permits.
Great. Thank you very much. So again, we have action number 1, Alex 123 Corp. is a new application. The committee recommended for it to be denied. Number 2, LeBlanc Pizza Restaurant Corp. was also a new application, was recommended to be denied. Number 3, Centeon Corp. doing business in La Cocina de Mama. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Number 4, Food for Your Soul LLC, doing business as Two Sisters, Four Brothers Restaurant and Lounge, was a renewal, and the committee recommended this application be denied. And the application was subsequently withdrawn, so we will not have to vote on that. We will have to move forward on recommendations of 1, 2, and 3. So that is 2 denials and 1 approval. I will bundle it to accept the committee's recommendation. Jessica Morris. Second, Nilsa. And we're going to do this second by Nilsa Rama. We'll do this through acclamation. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we have Environment, Open Space and Parks. Jessica Elliott.
Thank you. Apologies as I'm sharing my screen on my computer, so I'm looking at my phone for my notes. We had a great meeting, and thank you to the committee for their great work on the district needs and budget process. Again, our committee, I'd like to think, is a good thing. We have some of the most requests coming out of our committee for our parks and open spaces in the neighborhood, and a lot of work went into that. So thank you very much to the committee. We had a presentation on the proposed name change of Negro Point on Ward's Island. There's a suggestion to change the name to Tanakis Point, which is a Lenape word. There were some resources provided to the committee to research the history of Black mariners who helped ships navigate Hell's Gate and those sort of dangerous passages of the waterways. So our committee does not have a due date to respond to this request for our input on the name change. So we hope to continue discussing this in our old business until we come to a position with help from some researchers who are available to us. We also had a presentation on the reconstruction of the concession and addition of pergola structure at Mineral Springs in Central Park. This is a snack bar cafe around 69th Street, as you know, not in our district, but since our districts surround Central Park, anything that happens in Central Park must be presented to every community board that borders Central Park. Hence, we have to take a position on a snack bar cafe on 69th Street. Our committee was asked to provide a letter of no objection, which we did. So we have one action item for the letter of no objection for that project. Lastly, and we will revisit this in old business at our next meeting on November 2nd, was a presentation from New Yorkers for Parks about increasing funding of the city budget for parks to 1% of this New York City budget. So our committee is deliberating on that, and we will explore an action on that at next month's meeting. So our current action item is a letter of no objection for the reconstruction of the concession and addition of pergola structure at Mineral Springs in Central Park. Are there any questions?
Yes, Michelle. Okay. The committee's recommendation, the motion was made by Michelle Wiltshire Clemens, seconded by David Giordano, and passed unanimously. I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve a letter of no objection to the reconstruction of the concession and addition of pergola structure at Mineral Springs in Central Park.
Is there a second? Candy Vitas Vasquez. And all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Next up is our Elections Committee, Nilsa Rama.
Good evening, everybody. Just a moment of clarification. Am I going to say about the meeting and the announcement at the same time at this juncture?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that should be quick. Hi, everybody. My name is Nilsa Rama. I want to thank our Elections Committee members. If you're here, if you would stand, I would appreciate it so that the board members who are not familiar with you will know who you are. We have Isaac Scott, we have Jordan Wright, we have Kenneth Crouch, and we have John Green. All right, so thank you so much. So we had our first meeting earlier this month to discuss the Elections Committee. As you will know, elections will happen next month. There are 6 positions that we are to vote on, and I asked the Elections Committee and I asked for nominations. We got 5 nominations for 6 positions. So what I mean by that is there's 1 position that had no nominees at all. So just to give you a sense, we opened up the nominations period the first week in October, and we gave it roughly 2 weeks, a little longer than 2 weeks, and it culminated at the start of the business session. So all these positions are unopposed. We have very little nominations for each position. So the first nomination for chair, and the only person that was nominated, is Xavier Santiago as chair. Now, do I hear that by acclamation? Okay. But let's see the reaction for Vice Chair Jessica Elliott. Xavier, there's a little less love for you. For secretary, I'm happy to report that we got a nomination for Stephanie Arroyo. Stephanie, are you here? You can stand up, Stephanie, if you want people to vote for you. All right, there we go. For assistant treasurer, we got Claudia Perez. Claudia, where are you? All right. And for secretary, on the second row right here, last but not least, Rosa Diaz. Rosa? Okay. So next month will be the elections. I see you guys are gonna have a really hard choice in deciding who you want to lead this board for the next 2 years. As I said, only one position did not get nominations, which is the assistant secretary. I want to take a moment and thank all those who have been in positions that have been supporting the board. Right here, we have Jason, who is our treasurer. He elected not to run. And Jason was a treasurer under me and under Xavier, and I want to thank Jason for all his hard work, you know. And I want to thank everyone who has been part of the board in one capacity or another, and the rest of you are going to be doing your work sitting there. So basically, we had an idea, and we're going to meet, the elections committee is going to meet. We were going to do a candidate forum, as well as probably doing a candidate questionnaire. We're going to revisit that in light of the fact of the turnout for the candidates. And so then we will be giving you more information within the next 2 weeks, how we're moving forward. The elections will be done in a hybrid fashion. You will be able to vote electronically. And for those who wish not to vote electronically, you will be voting in person and you will opt out of the electronic ballot. The elections committee will be tallying everything that night, and we will be announcing the winners that night as well. If you have any questions, you feel free to send questions to the elections committee email, which you all have. If you don't have it, it's cb11elections@gmail.com, or feel free to question, I won't say bother, question the other elections committee members, and we will be sure that we will get you an answer. Are there any questions? Mark? Stephanie is treasurer. Stephanie is the treasurer. Assistant treasurer is Claudia. And secretary will be Rosa. Well, she's been nominated, right? You already know the chair and the vice chair. Thank you, Michelle Wilshire Clement, for your service. Yes?
Other people run or the other people nominated, or that's it?
That's it. We had a 2-week period where everyone on this board got an email with a nominations form to nominate. Now, several people nominated the same person. Right, so that's it. No other people nominated other people to run. Because that is part of our bylaws. We will always have an election according to our bylaws in the November month in the second year of the candidacy. We will not deviate from that. It is a matter of form. You will vote or you will choose not to vote. But I will hope that these people who have nobody to oppose them will probably win by a majority vote. Okay? If not, we got a lot of work to do. Are there any other questions? Thank you. Yes, Ms. McFarland. We have to have a formal vote because no one can just walk into a seat just because they don't have competition. There has to show that there was a choice for that person to be in office. So we can't just assume that everyone wants Xavier. right? Or we want, right, so there's only one nominee, right? So you can't assume that Stephanie should be the treasurer. We can only validate the choices through a vote. Does that make sense? Y'all can, there are no write-in candidates. Y'all have more than enough time. I've been sitting here with my little computer waiting for nominations. So I thank all of you who nominated. Some of you did nominate the same people twice, so I don't want you to think only one person nominated. There were more people that nominated, but by and large, you all felt the same about the people that I mentioned. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nelson. We, real quick, unfortunately, the representative for Congressman Espaillat's office did not get registered in time, but has been on the call since we convened the meeting. So I'm just going to pause business just to allow Nina Norwood to give a quick report. Unfortunately, one of the happenstances of being in a hybrid environment. So Nina, if you are there, you have your 3 minutes real quick. Please limit the crosstalk. Nina? Is she promoted? Nina, are you there? Is she in the guests?
Yes, Chair, can you hear me now? Oh, wow, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you at all. I do apologize. You're coming in completely mute on my end.
Nina, I can hear you.
Oh, now I can hear
Carry
you.
on.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Pardon, yes, I was delayed at another meeting. So I apologize for being late. And I know I have only a few minutes, and I know you guys are very much in the thick of it. So I just wanted to get through a quick announcement, and I'm giving my word, Chair, I will give you a little bit more of a comprehensive, report tomorrow. So I just really want to get through this really quickly, is that we're still in the process of Service Academy nominations. So that is still going on through our office. That is being followed up by our veteran and military representative, Mr. Mark Carlo. So he is in our Harlem office. That's the Adam Clayton Powell State Office building. And you can reach us at 212-663-3900. So we have been getting a fair amount of applications from very, very amazing qualified individuals within the district. We've met some amazing young people, and we have submitted them for nominations, and we definitely wish them the best of luck. So I definitely am still listening intently. I will be on the Zoom for the rest of the meeting. So if there's any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to take them. If not, Chair, you and I definitely will follow up, and I definitely have more to report.
Thank you. Seeing no hands, that concludes the Congressman's report. We'll now move back into business session. We have Youth and Education, David Giordano.
I'm sorry, Brother Chair, the district attorney's office is on.
Do you mind if we get the DA's office on? You have 3 minutes if you could. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not going to take 3 minutes. Thank you for allowing this time. I know there was an earlier time for me to speak. I just want to acknowledge that the district attorney's office has prepared a set of data that we would like to share, I would imagine, with your public safety committee at some point. So we'd like to discuss that. Also, we are building out a youth council, a public safety youth council just for Harlem. And we would like young people from East Harlem to participate. You'll get more information about that. And we have some other information that we will be sharing through a workshop and presentation series around bail reform, discovery, and other items that are important to the East Harlem community. And if there are no questions, that would conclude my report.
Great. Any questions? Email and phone number, please.
Email is Bennett, BENNETTC @ Danny, DANY Phone number is 212-864-7884.
Thank you. And now we'll move back into business and we will carry on with business exclusively for the rest of the meeting. Thank you, David, for your. It records and that's why we need you on the mic.
Good evening, everyone. So thank you. I got to pull this like this so I can move around. I'm Italian Puerto Rican. So, so first, Mr. Bennett, I thank you for coming on, and I'll just defer the report for 1 second. On December 15th, Children's Aid Society at Lexington Academy will be having a forum on youth violence in the community. So we want to formally now invite the board and the Youth and Education Committee, the Safety Committee as well. And we would definitely love to have representation from the DA's office. So we'll send you a formal invitation. Again, that's December 15th from 5 to 8 o'clock at the Lexington Academy. So once again, my name is David Giordano. I'm the chair of the Youth and Education Committee. And first I want to start out by just acknowledging some of the work that we kind of do with our sister, working, right? 1, 2, to the beach, y'all. Look, we have to have some fun up in here tonight. Anyway, so in continuing, I just want to really acknowledge a lot of the work that we do in overlapping with youth and education, but as well with parks, open space, environment has changed, but whatever we're calling it at the moment. But I really wanted to acknowledge the work that has been done on both committees, but also Francis Mastrota. One of those visions really came to light a week ago. Xavier and myself attended the opening at Port Richards Playground. That had been a work in progress for years. And they do have a bathroom and they did fix it and it works well in advocating for those things. But it's really important that, we have the institutional knowledge that carries over from one generation of board members to the other. And I really want to just compliment Jessica's work in continuing what was started many years ago in that committee and overlap with youth and education. So with all that said, there was a wonderful opening with the park. Sport Time USA, who I kind of gave props to last month, also came out and funded a lot of the project. They actually put painted tennis courts in, and they have special balls so little kids can play, and they actually play and don't hit the ball all over the place. So I want to commend Sport Time again for staying true to their things that we in parks and youth and education drove them crazy about making sure that they leave something in this community. So they deserve some props as well. So in short, we had our normal meeting with the informational updates. This year, while I've been really promoting in the last few years the DOE and working on the capital projects because our schools are so old, we also do have a lot of charter schools in our community and felt it's really important to engage them as well. Urban Dove is possibly considering moving one of the 2 charter schools that they just acquired from New Vision's AIM Charter, and one in the Bronx and one in Brooklyn. And they really would love to come back, and they're looking for their own space. They're not looking to co-locate because, as they said, they are, they have an interesting concept. They use sports and they use teams and coaches as their modality for how, your coach will be with you from 9th grade through 10th and to you graduate. They only take kids starting who have, I believe, less than 8 credits. So they really want to take kids who are younger and then really have that experience for them. But they are looking for a space that they have their own gym. They cannot co-locate in a space because they do need their own gym. Now, I don't know where they're going to find a space that big in our community at this moment, but they're looking. And we want to welcome them, and we've had them come back. They're going to come back next month and ask for a letter of support. And again, we like to support them. We also invited Capital Prep, who has a new principal in our community. And we want to, again, I kind of know the new principal, not that well, but I do know her, and I want to welcome her and invite her to the board as well to come and speak. Because again, these are kids in our community, they are getting educated, and we want to ensure that the school is providing what the children and the youth are entitled to. So again, Urban Dove gave a really wonderful presentation. one of our goals and missions, I ask people to send me goals. Please, not everybody is sending them. In order for us to really have a healthy discussion and topics of what we want to choose, of the things we will focus and advocate on, it really needs to be everybody working together. Your goal may not be the one chosen, but everybody needs a voice. So if everybody who hasn't sent, please send those in. The last and final thing is we did take a motion to give a letter of citation to Kelsey Stevens. So for those of you who don't know, some of you may know, Kelsey Stevens started in Children's Aid Society in September 17th, 1973. He just celebrated his 50th year at Children's Aid Society. I had a picture I showed the board when we had the meeting of Kelsey in 1975 when I first met him, when I was 13 years old, looking like Danny Partridge. And he was my coach. And I've gotten to know Kelsey over the 50 years. I've worked with him. He's an incredible leader. He was a college athlete. He was drafted for the pros. He played for the Harlem Wizards. How many people know the Harlem Wizards? Not too many of y'all know the Harlem Wizards. So the Harlem Globetrotters, how many people know the Harlem Globetrotters? Well, the Harlem Wizards are our community's stars that maybe didn't go someplace else, but played in this community. And since 1973, Kelsey Stevens has, I can't even name the amount of kids. Malik is one of them. I'm one of them. Russell is one of them that all played under Kelsey or knew Kelsey in the community. Kelsey started a wonderful bitty tournament. And, I'm not going to get into this whole bio here. We will have presentations on November 7th. Children's Aid Society is celebrating those 50 years. And it's not a retirement because he's still working on our Millbank Center, coaching girls. And he still works at our Douglas Center, where I first met him in 1975, doing the open door, right? So that's part of the new initiative. Thank you, Ash. So again, Kelsey to me has been a coach that cut me after 2 years, have been then a mentor, a colleague, and has been a friend for many years. We've all grown up together in the work, and it's only fitting that for somebody that's now celebrating 50 years and continuing to work, that the community celebrate the work that he's done. And I'll just add this. He promoted sports and basketball, but what he knew is not every kid is an athlete. So how did he do? He created this program in Children's Aid called the Sports Management Program, where he would take kids and teach them how to keep books. He would teach kids how to keep the clock. Those were jobs you got paid in the summer. He also ran a reffing program where he taught people how to ref. So it's, again, you love basketball, you love sports, and you may not be the athlete, but there's other ways to live that dream in the sport. And Kelsey's helped so many young people live their dream, get into college, and it's just fitting that we do and pay that respect to him.
Thank you. Eugene, you had a question? Yes.
As you know, we have a problem between projects. Teachers from Jefferson can't go to teachers from Wagner, teachers from Wagner can't go to so on and so forth. And that's troublesome. So I spoke to the people about some ways you could bring those projects together in some kind of competition. That's not boxing. But that's the first idea. So I suggest that maybe you do track, running. Everybody likes to run. Some people are bad, some people are wrong. I put my knowledge of man design for a sort. So I love putting out relays. If we could have these power relays, I would suggest to you that Juan Carlos was born in East Harlem and went to machine metal trades where he used to be the snide. Regularly. So I think maybe we should start a discussion in your committee about maybe doing Olympics or relays, Jose, John Collins relays.
No, absolutely. Again, I think we have to find different ways to bring young people together to help them see the commonality that many of them face. I think one of the projects we've been working on at Children's Aid and Ash can speak better than me because he corrected me last time I kind of talked about the program, but it's really looking at the violence that's affecting youth in the community. And one of the things they did when they were in Washington, D.C. with a Boys and Girls Advocacy Day was that they drew a map of East Harlem, and they showed on the map where either children were shot, killed, or involved in a shooting in the neighborhood. And it's horrifying. It's really horrifying to look at a map of your community and look at how many young people. And again, some of that work we're going to do, and we're going to have two of the young people. One of the people that was a Children's Aid young person that was killed on 104th Street, and we're going to celebrate him. And unfortunately, we're celebrating the loss of a life, but maybe we need to celebrate how we bring people together to celebrate the lives that are here. You know, it's not going to stop. This is no different than I was a kid, because I grew up on the West Side. But when I used to come to the East Side, my mother was from East Harlem. I knew which blocks not to walk down. And you know what? When Ash and myself and me and him are walking in the street, Ash says, "Don't walk down that block," because again, you know, see, sometimes we think we get old, we'd handle it. But sometimes, you know, you got to listen to young people because they see things differently or from a different point and perspective than we are. And what my safety may be different for that young person in the community as well. And until we give them a voice in this place, then we're missing half the message.
I think that's a good point to make, David, and I applaud your work you've done for decades. And thank you for the recommendation, Eugene. And I think this motion to provide Kelsey Stevens a letter citation is well-founded because the work he did was preventative and inspiring. And I think that's the full circle we're looking at right now. And I think let's definitely have this conversation, youth and education. There are community stakeholders such as Will Kelly and his work with the basketball, the ways we could unite this community. So let's definitely do that work and bring it full circle. So with that, we had a motion to make to provide Kelsey Stevens a letter citation by Russell Schuler and seconded by Isaac Scott. The motion passed unanimously. I will entertain a yes, Nelson. Second by John Green. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We will now move on to land use, landmarks, and planning.
Good evening, family. Jason, land use chair. So hard to come behind David. I swear, he's so exhilarating. Yeah. Mike, check. Yeah, all right, you're probably right. Maybe just pull it out. All right. Patience is a virtue. All right, so briefly, before we get into the land use application that we'll be seeking support from the board, just so you all know, on October 30th, the City Planning Commission will certify the second City of Yes citywide zoning text amendment for economic opportunity, beginning the ULIP clock. I do recommend that, especially land use committee members, that we get ahead of that curve and start reviewing it prior to the presentation that comes in on November. And board members, I also implore that you do the same, and that if you have any questions or concerns, you always can reach out to me direct via email and or cell phone. So that one more other item we had was the discussion of the statement of district needs and budget requests. We pretty much just resubmitted the same request that we did last year as it relates to, HPD and requesting more funding for affordable housing within our district, correlating and working with housing committee. So that being said, we will now have the discussion on the motion for the Dimbalit Terrace project, application C240046, HAM and C240047 PQM, the Dimbalit Terrace, with the following conditions. The motion was made by Jessica Elliott to support a resolution recommending approval of the land use applications as stated previously. Condition number 1, the developer to commit to the extent legally permissible targeted outreach in partnership with local community service organizations serving the formerly homeless and other low-income residents of Manhattan Community Board 11, CD11, to ensure broad local awareness of the housing opportunities offered by this project. Condition number 2, the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, New York City Human Resources Administration, HRA, and the developer commit to prioritizing applicants displaced from CD11 for any residential units set aside for eligible formerly homeless households, particularly single adults with children, seniors, survivors of domestic violence, and single young adults aging out of foster care. Condition number 3, the developer commits to CB11's local hiring preference guidelines, which sets local hiring targets of 35% for pre-construction jobs, 35% for construction jobs, 50% for post-construction hiring for residents of CD11, and 35% of the total value of all contracts that are being awarded to businesses located in CD11. 4th, that the developer commit to proactively establish partnerships with local workforce development organizations to source qualified residents of CD11 for employment opportunities created by all phases of the proposed development. 5, is that loud enough? That the developer establish, and again, I hope that we're capturing the points that were made, that, you know, the board and the committee heard the concerns and it really worked hard to make sure to draft these conditions with this statement, right? Which is that the developer establishes a community advisory board for the Timbale Terrace property to be facilitated in collaboration with CD11. The motion was seconded by Jessica Morris and passed unanimously. Chair.
Thank you very much, Jason. Yes, Ashley, you have a question?
Being built, but I know I'm gonna butcher the name, the Afro Latin Jazz Ensemble is gonna be housed there. I just think that, just as when I was younger, like it's really hard to find like music programs within East Harlem, some schools don't have music programs. I think that we should push for them to make sure that they have some sort of affordable music programs for kids in the area. Because right now you gotta go either all the way to the west side of downtown to get music lessons.
Thank you for that note. Are there any other questions? I will go to Jessica Morris and then Mark Laversi.
Same for what I'm seeing on this paper, there's nothing really mentioned about the
Thank you, Mark Laversi and then Isaac Sell.
And you had suggested earlier that community board members go to a lot of community members in spring. So I went to a lot of community in spring, and I heard the Timbale Terrace presentation, every one of them. So I heard like 6 times presentation about Timbale Terrace. And in every one of those meetings, they were neighbors, Chan being one of them, spoke exceptionally passionately about the drug trafficking problem that exists on the street. And unfortunately, during almost all those meetings, I didn't hear people talking to each other. I heard people talking away from each other and addressing that existing problem. I come to believe, that I met with the lender at Ford facility, spoken to them, I come to believe that the concerns that the neighbors have that this is going to exacerbate the problem in the neighborhood may be misfounded, because I don't think it's necessarily coming from the Lantern buildings per se. I don't know that to be the case for sure, but I do believe the problem exists, and I don't believe anybody's really addressing it. And so I don't know if it's possible to include in the resolution, was actually Diane, who actually said it to me before, of actual, community advisory board is fine, but maybe need to include message language that specifically says it's going to focus on a consortium of private and public entities that will actually address the existing quality of life issues that are going on. It's a little disappointing to hear from the city council member Ayala about that. Not in my district, 118th Street is Valley Street. That's the street where all this trafficking is happening. So I just think we need to hear the neighbors. And I have people I know who did, who confirmed the neighbors are saying. that it's a real issue happening right now. And I think we need to acknowledge that something got to be done. In this recommendation.
Thank you. That is noted. I'm gonna go to Isaac Scott, who's next, and then
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to touch on a lot of what Mark said when I do my report, but I was wondering, is it possible for us to, insert what Actor just said, because that was a great point in that the programs may not be as accessible to folks who don't live in the complex. So if there's a way to ensure that there could be some inclusion for folks who don't necessarily live in the complex to be able to still benefit from the music program. So that was really what my question.
hold on. Yes, Ashley.
That the neighborhood get priority on lessons, that have to be something actually affordable, because especially if you're doing instruments for kids, like have like some sort of like rental program, borrowing or something. Because they're gonna end up just leaving it. Don't have access.
Chair, thank you, Ash. I think that's an excellent point. Chair, this was brought up in committee in discussion. It was recommended to the developer that they speak to youth and education, particularly to the programming, so that way youth and education could draft a resolution towards those concerns. Absolutely. I can't speak for the organization, but they should be here. And maybe they can advise and to some of the concerns as to why we didn't necessarily craft that in the land use application that is relevant to the URLA process.
Yep, so there's a particular carve out. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Actor and Mark, for your comments. And then I will go to Nilsa. I'm going to allow Anna Chereno on behalf of Alja. Yeah, so there was a particular carve out in the resolution where it called that out, but if we want to, and I typically do not like to make edits on the full board floor. But I think let's hear her response to Anna Chereno, and then I had this, and then Nilsa. Anna? Okay, thank you for that clarification. Anna?
We have the program and the program training COVID, and none of the kids have to buy their own instruments. They actually provide the card, and the kids can actually take the instrument home themselves. They have a restoration of the program. So yes, for you can help with the community members. You can help the community members of how what
Thank you, Anna. Does that allay your concerns, Ashley? Okay, thank you. It was emailed with our board packet, and there's usually a hyperlink from the agenda. There should be a hyperlink there.
And yeah, to your point as well, forgive me if I'm still learning the names of the new members. That's definitely been a conversation that as you'll hear from Chair Pastor Isaac Scott, that has been resonating in human services as to the concerns with some of the terminologies that are being used by personnel as it relates to the concerns with the oversaturation. And it's continuing to be a conversation at executive. And I can't speak for the council member, but I do understand that there's even a task force as well for that.
Thank you, Jason. I'm going to get Nilsa, you had your hand, and then you do. Thank you, Eugene, and then John.
Diligence. And we take their concern seriously. I mean, I live on the block, on 118th Street, like they, you know, have the dirt in the street, so they affect them too. I don't know anybody in this community board that's not concerned about the oversaturation of those kind of programs in the community. And I think a lot of terrorists is going to be a positive aspect in that neighborhood because of the legal district in the neighborhood. But that brings good folks and bad folks stay away from good folks.
John Green, and then one final remark, and then Chad, and then I'm gonna move the meeting agenda along, please, so, and I can't tell those things. Yes, so I will continue, and then I conclude those. John, go ahead.
I think it is that in sensitivity. In the world today, it seems like we've never seen how we can get rid of it. And looking at this product, that would be like throwing a big out. And I think that the thing is that nothing is always as good as anything else in the whole head. So the thing is that I just hope that look at it in the positive way and just but let's hopefully let's hope that and let's hope that we want to that this work. Because as a lot of things in the family who are making
Thank you, Bev and Jose, and I'll, Monas.
I'm telling you, because I mean, this should be out of Massachusetts and not be the oversight. We call them again, enough is enough. We cannot constantly take on everyone else's problem. It's of course, I'm not saying I'm not opposed to the housing aspect of it, but I am opposed to it. Again, one thing that every time we turn around is always entities, always community, and saturating our community. And when we say something about it, or we speak up on it, it's anyone pointing fingers at because we are opposed. And I think this should be happening.
Thank you, and Jose.
I went on a tour. Thank you for the tour, by the way. One of my first questions was about treatment, and then I had heard of a lot of different information, what the board said, board members, and I learned that they don't do any treatment like before. It's counseling, no treatment at all. And it's hard for me to understand that all of this, now what I consider misinformation that was fed into us. And then I go there and I get a very different with the reality, right? Which is why I took the time to go and walk through. I found it very interesting. And I know that drugs are a huge issue for us, but it's not just on 118 Park. I'm on my business on 115, which is our main economic corridor. And at least once a week I call 911 because I see someone just completely passed out. I don't know if it's alive, he's dead. And I call to make sure someone gets some help. So I mean, it's a situation that's happening all over the city, not just in one corner, another corner. Obviously, at 125th Street was helped out, this spread all over. So I just want to be clear that very interesting walking through the walk and seeing everything that happened. positivity that I want to see that for guys coming in, but it was just, I had a very misconception. I also spoke to them, and what I heard where the board is saying, well, they're giving us everything we want now. What happens after they get what they want? But the truth is also that I've been on this board, I don't even know how long it's been, but it's been more than 10 years. You know, and I've never heard issues with the ballot. I mean, with Lantern until now. And I'm sure they've had issues before or whatever the situation is. But now I'm sure that they're gonna work with the community, and it's our job as well, as the community board, to make sure that, you know, make them, I don't know, stand up to what they're promised. But not having treatment there and me going in thinking that there was treatment there, big eye opener.
Thank you, Jose. Mark.
First of all, to be viable, I support the development of the project. I'm not against it. I'm not throwing babies up the bathwater. I'm also recognizing that the community board has, I sit in the Human Service Committee and support the resolution that we passed to actually shut down new services in the neighborhood of Leesboro moratorium. And everybody can talk about it, not just 180s. I'm not naive. But these resolutions, right, let's face it, we put these stipulations in these resolutions that send a signal to the city council, to the city council offices, to show them what we're focused on. It's not only the whole Lansing responsible, it's the whole our political institutions responsible for what we're saying. So I'm saying that this resolution warrants, I think, something that speaks to the conditions on the street at the moment. So that somehow this should be part of the solution. Not all the other good things it's doing, including Alta, but that as well. That's all I was saying. I don't think I'm against it because it's not that easy.
Okay, I've got a couple other things I wanted to have everyone be heard. So if we could make them very succinct, and so we can move things along. I want everyone to be validated and heard in this meeting. Okay, so Joe, Rosa, and then Ben, and then Kenneth, then Isaac. Thank you. All right, so
I'm glad that a lot of us actually took the time to go and take the tour. Because we heard a lot of information that was so contradictory. And I wanted to see for myself what was happening. I mean, I go through the neighborhood in different life. But there were times I wanted to see what people were talking about. I went and I haven't. I spent time there. I spent time there hanging out, looking around, what's going on. I'm like seeing all the things on the street. I mean, I live on 96 and I meet people. And I would take those calls. That they are suffering out on some whatever. But that is not what the main purpose of adding 400% affordable housing. The main purpose is that there are so many people that are on housing that need housing for stability, and there are so many people that are on the edge that need housing for stability, and there are people that need housing. We need to find a way to stay in communication, and I believe that we can, and we're setting the foundation.
Yeah, thank you. Went to tour today. Thank you so much. It was like over an hour. I went to the 2 buildings, in and out, up and down the stairs, and all the amenities we have, all the community services we have. It was so much for me. I was like, oh my God, can I be here? Like, like technology services, space room, it was amazing. I want to commend you. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and
thank you, Rosa. Kenneth, and then Isaac. We'll complete.
See, I think is it 30% that are set aside for the housing about the exact number for the like formerly home.
997.
So I hope that's not like a litmus test that we're voting on this as to represent how we feel about that one issue, and there's so many other housing spots available
into Valley Terrace and Music Center that I would rather vote as a package as a whole, to see positives and negatives, and then work to maybe address the negatives to keep out of it instead of, yeah, throwing me with that water, but like, yeah, let's not forget about everything else and realize how we kind of work towards this.
Thank you, Jen. Ken?
I'll be really quick. I also took a tour at the Landsman Properties. I found a vibrant community. I found really what Land's mission was about. It's about setting folks on a path to stability. I don't want us to equate substance use with supportive services. Supportive services for folks who are formerly homeless, community members, people in our community who want to be on a path for productive citizenship. And so I don't want us to take away from that because of this misinformation and false things. And finally, I don't want to tell you, this is just a parking lot. Currently, the land that we don't want is just a parking lot. It's nothing, right? It's one of the least productive uses of land. We're going to have deeply affordable units next. So I don't want us to lose that. Keep that in mind.
Thank you. Isaac?
Being that I'm last, I wanted to make a motion to support the committee's recommendation.
All right, there. I've heard some comments here, especially the last item. And it seems like there was a uniformity when it came to the community advisor. Flushing that out. I've heard that through the line this evening. That's the one area I will entertain. Just.
So I think, just in regards to the conversation from Mark, our board member, and what we've heard from the community members who've been attending, would you be interested in a friendly amendment for the final condition that the developer establish a community advisory board for the Timbali Terrace property to be facilitated in collaboration with CB11, and then include the following language that will be tasked with including but not limited to working with local businesses, CBOs, NYPD, and city agencies to assist in improving quality of life.
Motion to support the committee's recommendation with the friendly amendment that was just read on the floor.
Second.
Yes, Rosa, do you have a question before? Okay, thank you. Seconded, the friendly amendment for voluntary procedure to be accepted and read into the record. This will be a roll call vote, and as with these. This will be a roll call vote, and pursuant to our new practices, the chair will vote last.
Here we go. Jose Altamirano.
Yes.
Stephanie Arroyo. Mark B.
Yes.
Adam Riha.
Yes.
Jihad Chaudhary. Kareem Koser. Kenneth Crouch.
Yes.
Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz. Angela Donadell.
Present.
Do you have a conflict of interest or associated with the project? Oh, she didn't. Okay.
And
Okay.
so you want me to say no, I'll say no.
All right. We all moving on. Jessica Elliott. Judith Randall. Is Brandon Gillespie here? Brandon?
Yes.
Yes, and yes. Yes, you're here, and yes, you're voting. Okay. David Giordano. John Green. Annie Hansen.
So much opinion that I don't even know what I'm voting.
I will come back to you. Wanda Hopkins. Jewel Jones. Sharon Lynch. Beverly McFarland. Giselle Malave. Malik McCullough. Jennifer Mayer. Alicia Miranda. Jessica Morris. Nilsa Orama.
Guys, we can't hear your vote.
Nilsa? Beverly Pabon. Claudia Perez. Asher Rodriguez. Eugene Rodriguez. Isaac Scott. Russell Schuler. Loretta So. Still not here. Vincent Torres. At this moment, please no cross talking so I can hear the yeses. Jason Villanueva. Candy Vivez Vasquez. Michelle Wilshire Clement, that is me, and I vote yes. Jordan Wright. Jason Wu. Beautiful. Hold on. Thank you. And I'm circling back to Annie Hansen. Have you made your decision as yet? Annie? All right, I am taking that. Everybody here besides our chair board has voted. And our chair is voted.
Aye. Stephanie Arroyo.
When I'm voting, I'm not voting but present is because of a work conflict. But I'd like that to be understood by the committee. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so for everyone who voted present, not voting, and again, yeah. I'm gonna give clarification before the motion carries. Before I announce the motion carries, right? So, all right, so, yes. Yeah, I did. A quick clarification. There are 4 votes you can register. Yes, no, abstain, and present not voting. Abstention can mean you agree with everything but one item. You're not satisfied. It could be reserved for a couple of different reasons. This is why the borough president's trainings are so important for parliamentary procedure. Present not voting is if you have a conflict of interest. Either, as Stephanie, thank you for speaking up, you may have, for example, you may work for a company, you may have a family member who may benefit from the vote. There may be an indirect benefit to you. This is why you would be present not voting. So, for example, we've had other members where they brought business before the board and they would be present not voting because that would be undue influence. That is why present not voting. Those members who may have a concern and it has not been satisfied, their votes typically would be an abstention. Yes, Angela. An abstention. Thank you. All right, so the motion carries. I appreciate everyone's, yes, Jessica Morris. So when you vote, you have to have enough of whatever, so when quorum is established, everyone, you have to have enough present voting aye. So if we have 40 members, it's half plus 1. 21 people would have to vote affirmative for the motion to carry forward. Otherwise, it does not pass and it would revert back to committee. In the case of a ULURP, we have run out the clock. So thank you very much for that question of clarification. We will now move the meeting agenda along. It is now 9 p.m. And you are, and just as a slight, you are allowed to vote no. You're allowed to abstain. You have those choices. And this is again about a respectful execution of our position. And there's no judgment on that. So thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for everyone's patience in this process. We will now. Isaac Scott, you are up with Human Services. Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, Isaac. Public Safety. Just eager to get you up here, man. Public Safety. Get up here. Get up here. And just a quick reminder, we have 30 minutes, 30 minutes. All right, go ahead, Jose.
On the record,
Please
Dave,
keep the noise down.
congratulations. Make us proud. All right. We have two motions tonight. We have a motion in opposition to the DOT's current Third Avenue and East 128th Street pedestrian bridge improvement project. This came before us in May. They were supposed to be in a design phase for 2 years, according to their own slideshow, which we have. We proposed a couple of changes, particularly a two-way street on Third Avenue between 127th and 128th to alleviate the amount of traffic that exists on 128th. The FDR comes out there, there's 2 lights, it's crazy. So most of you have seen and probably done, a lot of people go against the one-way. And they go up the one-way into 127th. We're asking them that this was an idea, they should do this because downtown Third Avenue does that anyway. They have a two-way street and they told us no, that it was a done deal, even though they're in planning phase. They said no. And we asked for a walkthrough. They said no. All summer I asked for a walkthrough. They said no, no, no. And then I had to go complain to Diana Ayala's office, who was unknown of a $33 million project in her district. And I kidnapped Elsie. It's true. Thank you, Elsie, if you're still on. And I dragged her over there. And it took less than 3 minutes when we saw, I'm not going to shout out which department, but a city vehicle, one of those big F-350 trucks going up the one way. 3 minutes. Can't make it up. So our position is in opposition to this. Then we have a motion in support of the neighborhood loading zone expansions. We got a couple emails from the community. There's some confusion. This is a plan that was put in place by the city. It is not a new plan. It was put in place 1 year or 2 years ago. And basically, every year they take a certain amount of parking spots in order to make it for deliveries. Amazon is a new world now. Most people get their deliveries. They're trying to facilitate this during the daytime so that these vehicles don't block an entire street and don't block all the traffic. We were able to combine this with 2 requests from a CVS and a supermarket who wanted this. So we're kind of doing a 2-for-1 here, which is smart of us. I know, and that's it.
All right.
Oh, also, I wanted on the record that, since COVID, DOT has kind of just been doing whatever they want. And this is kind of, this is not considered community engagement, right? If this is real community engagement, then you come, you engage us, you hear ideas, and maybe we're crazy, but maybe we're not. But you can't also listen to these people that design an entire, it's crazy. If you please take a look at this, I'm gonna see if Khalid or Angel could re-forward this to you. And if you ever drive through there, if you come through a 3rd Avenue bridge over, and you'll see they want to put a traffic light. They're gonna make that street that goes from the school, they're gonna make it veer up into, just so they can make a big pedestrian hump on both sides, instead of just having it on one side, which I agree, right? But pedestrians can also cross the street and cross on one side. So please pay attention to this. This is a huge project that will affect us. It'll affect, we are still one of the #1, if not we are, I think, still #1 asthma. These are all vehicles that come into our community, drive through our community, and obviously.
Thank you. That's a good point. Every committee, yes, I'll entertain a few questions, but every committee should be doing the work, doing the walkthroughs. So Bev and then Isaac. Bev, your question?
Question.
I don't know if you noticed, but I've been noticing that the DOT is also making allowances for zip cars and certain type of rental cars that have spaces on the block. I don't know how many have been done.
City mandate.
Yeah, so how is that working within the East Harlem area? We have a lot of private, public parking. that's being taken over by.
The answer to that is yes. And we opposed it and we continue to oppose it. The parking that we spoke about today was already meter parking. That's why we're being smart because making sure it doesn't take away from just regular parking. But yes, that program takes away, it's supposed to, but these, really it's not for our community, right? Because it's expensive. Most of them are very expensive. They're not, they say it's for the community, but they make it so expensive that people don't really use them. They use them when they're going out of town for the weekends and things of that nature. But sometimes people, it's a little bit of both. I forgot, but I'll do that one more thing.
No, we're in board business right now,
Oh.
so I'm sure Jose would be pleased to speak with you after he's done.
Oh, yeah, we can talk
so-
offline.
Yeah, board
And
business.
I don't know
is
the
for
board members.
So,
I guess we
Isaac, you had a quick question or?
think we
Okay.
do.
Oh, Angel has a question then real quick. Angel? Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll go through, huh? Yeah. Yes, what is your question, Lee?
Tell me a little bit about that monthly fund, but how it goes on.
I wish we could. You know what I visualize it? All right, so the corner of the school and Third Avenue, that is going to extend out about 2 lanes of traffic on Third Avenue going north. So they're going to build it out and they're going to curve 128th Street, the school. They're going to curve it into the existing kind of ramp. So right now, 128th Street just goes straight, right? So they go straight. It helps alleviate the buses, everything. So now they're going to bring it, they're going to turn it in. They're going to do like a 90-degree into the other traffic that's coming from the Bronx, put a traffic light there, and then people have to make a right there. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. It's insane. It's
Wait, I
insanity.
think, Malik, do you have a good comprehension of it? Guys, the crosstalk. Okay, good. I'm gonna move the meeting along if that's okay, Michelle.
Get to one lane.
2 lanes, really, 2. But it's 4 lanes and then it would be 2.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna, Eugene, do you have a question or no? Well, I haven't entertained a motion. So the first item, a motion was made in opposition to the DOT's current Third Avenue, East 128th Street pedestrian bridge improvement project designed by Michelle Butcher Clement, second by Claudia Perez. The motion passed unanimously. Eugene, would you care to make the motion? Oh, Isaac was going to make a motion. Thank you. Yeah.
Isaac, Eugene,
Is
second.
second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Abstained, Jessica Morris. The motion carries. Second motion was made in support of the neighborhood loading zone expansions on Lexington Avenue, East 96, 97th Street, East 116th from Lexington to Third Avenue. It was made by Kenneth Crouch, second by Stephanie Arroyo. The motion passed with 6 in favor and 1 against, Michelle Butcher Clement, and 1 present not voting, Loretta So. Is there a Nilsa Rama? Second, Eugene Rodriguez. All those in favor? Any opposed? Michelle Butcher Clement opposed. Any abstentions? John Green, Candy, Rivas Vasquez, Angela Donadell, Beverly Pabon. The motion carries. With that, so Beverly Pabon, Candy Vivas Vasquez, Angela Donadell. The abstentions.
I had one last piece.
And Michelle
Chair.
Butcher Clement was no.
She said a no.
Okay.
She was a no. I have
Okay.
one last thing.
Yeah.
Our public safety forum will be December 1st. Kilka left already, but Kilka, Zabia, Judith wanted to abstain.
Judith was an abstention too.
Kilka was able to help me get in contact with the retired commissioner from Youth Strategies, who was like an encyclopedia of youth. NYPD considers the housing groupings, they're considered gangs, right? So East River Army is a gang, they're considered a gang. Obviously, youth violence is the biggest issue that we have here. David's also doing something. I'm glad we'll be in talks so that we can do things together. So December 1st at Hunter College on 119th, we'll be having, so the Commissioner O'Connor will be here. He was the youth strategy for the NYPD for many years. He just retired at the beginning of the summer. So we're happy that he was able to do this, and we're going to have a lot of involvement, a lot of information. We think a lot of parents aren't looking at the signs and the things that are happening with their own children. There was something that's been mentioned before where right after school ends, shootings increase dramatically. And that's obviously something that breaks our heart. But in these gang situations, the older individuals know the law. They're using the minors to do the shooting, to do the violence, because they know that a minor shoots. We had an incident where a minor shot in a week 3 times, and he was released within the same day due to his age. Cases are closed. Judges can't see that he took a shot on Monday. They don't see all that. So obviously they're using this as a way to get their bidding done, but using our children, as weapons. So this is something that we take seriously, and we want to make sure that we do the best we can to inform, to improve, because as you know, youth violence is the biggest issue that we have in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. All right. Oh, Angel, did you want to speak on public safety?
Thanks, Xavier. So just one quick things and then something slightly less quick. So the project that Jose was explaining about the pedestrian bridge, the slide deck from DOT is on the community board's website. On the public safety meeting for June 8th, you can see the entire presentation there. If you didn't get the whole gist from Jose's very illustrative explanation. The other thing on a slightly more serious point is the conversation that we've been having or hearing for the longest about quality of life concerns, public safety concerns. We hear them time and again. And a lot of the conversation we've been hearing, at least to my ear in the last couple of years, has to do with arrests and arrest sticking and not sticking and bail reform and all that jazz. And a lot of that, to my ear, seems like it's low-level stuff. And I'm not going to get into the, whether or not that should be, but it seems like that's the focus. When we're looking at a community, well, a city, a country, frankly, but a community that we're working in that is blanketed in drugs, there has to be suppliers somewhere, and I have not heard a single word from the police department or the district attorney about any busts of any significant impact whatsoever in the longest. Right. So time and again, we hear about, oh, Joe got stopped, then we couldn't hold him for whatever reason. Then you can have that conversation. It's a worthwhile conversation. Yes, but it's not the entire conversation. We never hear about weight. We never hear about why our community is completely blanketed and suffering as a result of the illicit drug trade to this degree. It's not just, somebody sold a dime bag to JoJo. That's not it. That's a lot of it, but that's not what the problem is, right? Like, people are not getting shot over a little bag. They're getting shot about territory and, and like big numbers, and we don't hear it. And not to attack the police because I'm just a little old man. However, to me, they're getting away with murder in terms of their presentations to the community board, where they just come get clapped on for their work, and they are certainly brave, but for goodness sakes, every once in a while, talk to us about what you're doing to actually stem the drug trade in our community, because we're suffering. So then when we have the conversation, rightfully so, that we're feeling overwhelmed by all kinds of drug activity, usage, sales, all kinds of jazz, no one's saying anything about how the stuff's getting here and why the stuff's always here, right? Like decade after decade after decade, it's always the same thing. And then we're turning on ideas that we have. So we're, it sounds like we're, resistant to a housing project like we discussed earlier because of the element of the, substance use disorder like piece. When, if we were taking care of people in the first place, we wouldn't have this issue. And if, you had actually stemmed the tide of illicit drugs, flooding the community, we wouldn't have this issue. And I understand that I sound somewhat naive, but for goodness sakes, every once in a while, throw me a bone and tell me we busted somebody here. We busted this organization here and there. Last thing, sorry, Xavier. A couple of years ago, I remember the Millbank building on 117th Street, a massive heroin operation, right? And you couldn't walk down that block, right, Candy? Humongous bust. You could lay in the street on 117th Street now. right? So every once in a while, give me something. I know we can't arrest ourselves out of everything, but you have to give me something for my tax dollars to the community when the community is being so negatively impacted. And I wish that the police would be saying something actually substantive. I'm sorry.
Yes, Bev, and then I'm going to move us along. Thank you, Bev. Your question.
With this, because they are, I know with CSA5, they are coming to our community meeting and giving us back on big bucks in our community, and I'm pregnant in fact. And we always get those information that how many people with buses and big buses. We have big buses and they did big takedown in that house community. I mean CSA5. So I know that it may not look like that, but maybe the outreach of the recent to the community board should we pay attention to that. But they are coming to our resident association and giving them that.
Thank you for that, Bev. Isaac, I'd like to move the meeting along because I don't want to lose the camera crew. Yeah. I'm gonna let him and then. I can
Good
come back,
evening.
okay?
I'll be quick. We had our regular informational updates. The only new update was from Exodus Transitional Community, who let us know they'd be using their location across the street because they had a fire at one of their locations. In addition, we had an informational presentation from the bariatric program at Metropolitan Hospital. They spoke about their new program for folks who have found it hard to lose weight with other traditional methods. Our budget, we got through that. I do actually, in hindsight, want to commend the Human Services Committee for being able to make it through that budget process, given the fact that we have a lot of new committee members and all of the issues that everybody's talking about probably should be directed towards the Human Services Committee. So they, the issues and getting an understanding of the issue is a process that our committee is going to lean into a lot. With that being said, to some of the points Mark said, well, first I want to, for like 2-3 months, I've been bearing with this, right? So a lot of the moratorium document, I know for a fact, is being misrepresented because I wrote half of it, right? And I'm just listening to people talk about, this oversaturation of social services, and that's not what that document is talking about. That document is not dealing with social services per se. It's dealing with strictly addiction services. And I want to separate those two because we do not have an oversaturation of social services in East Harlem. There's no oversaturation of mental health services. There's no oversaturation of domestic violence services and all of these other social services. So every time I hear people say it, it makes me cringe because it's such a misrepresentation of that document. Also, in hearing how people are representing it, it lets me know that they didn't really read it. And what we are going to do is in our next meeting, we will read it on the record, because one of the things I was able to do, and I'll workshop this with my committee, is that we have transformed those asks into budget requests so that we can actually ask the city for things in relation to the complaints that are being made, right? So this takes us away from so what I'm trying to do right now is get us out of the place of coming to these meetings and complaining about the issues. You all and everyone listening is invited to join us at the Human Services Committee. Every single month, we will have these budget items on our agenda and we will workshop them. So everything that you see in that moratorium, what we asked for, from data collection to collaboration, will be transformed into a budget request. I've shared some of them, and I'll share, we have a lot. Every resolution that we pass, we will do the same thing with. And this is gonna, I believe is gonna take us away from just, talking about it to actually advocating for these issues within our budget requests annually. So with that being said, I really don't want to hear you complaining if you don't come to our next meeting. So everybody that I hear complaining, if you don't come to the next meeting, like me, you already know how I give it up. So like, I don't want to hear it. I will curb you, mute you, all of that. If you are not going to come to the meeting to participate in the change, if you're just going to complain and talk about how bad it is, then we're going to keep it moving and we're going to get this thing done. So I'll stop.
Thank you, Ice. So again, I implore, because we are hybrid, you can attend any of the committees. And Angel can tell you, right before the pandemic, we were trying to make it possible to online. And Nilsa remembers, I was there in January and February, and we have a resource now. So lean into that resource and participate. So thank you for that. We're going to move on real quick as Giselle walks up. Jason, you had a quick question or comment from the previous item? That's yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you, Giselle, for your patience.
I feel like we hear a lot of our meetings feel somewhat like that. Open forum to people who are homeless or struggling with poverty and inequality in the community and society. And so I agree with Angel's point that we need to go deeper on what the causes of what we're seeing are, instead of just criminalizing the symptoms that are being expressed in their communities by our family members, our neighbors, people who live in the country. I just feel like it's important for me to say that, because I'm trying not to take up too much space in a lot of tangents, but also I don't want there to be a misrepresentation of who is on this community board. There is a diversity of voices. And to the point around drug use, I'm just going to state the obvious. There are rich people, there are other people who do drugs. Yeah, I know them. Some of them work at the NYPD, and some of them are prosecutors that I went to law school. And they're not the ones who are being criminalized, right? And so part of what we're seeing is people suffering and not having supportive housing, not having stable health, not having healthcare. And so if we want to talk about taking these seriously, we need to demand investment in our community.
So thank you very much, Jason. Giselle, Dem, can I get it after Giselle gives her report? I'll come back to, no, don't go. I'm going to go to Dem while we then bring stuff up. So in queue, I appreciate everyone's patience because we're running short on time. Want to be respectful. So go ahead, Giselle, your report.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Giselle Malave, Chair of Economic Development and Culture. We had a few announcements. We don't have anything to vote on this month, but I do want to let the community know that Union Settlement is hosting a financial literacy workshop series. I have to thank Angel Muscane for that and Michelle Cruz. They came together and found a way to use money to in turn help small businesses, because if we're helping community residents manage their money better, understand their taxes, borrowing, insurances, and retirement. So these classes are going to be going on in Corsi Houses at 307 East 116th Street in the basement level from 5:30 to 7:30. You can find the dates on the Union Settlement website under upcoming events. They'll also be hosting a 50 years of hip hop celebration, and you can also find that on their website. We went through our district needs and budget. We had a presentation briefly from Frances Euros from NYPL, and she brought us information about them receiving or possibly receiving a 5% cut. And that actually went well because right after we had our presentation, right after her presentation, we had our discussion on district needs, and we were able to carve that in there so that our libraries don't suffer. And those are that was our meeting. Any questions?
Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you for the work. All right, great. Steph?
Good evening, Stephanie Arroyo from District Needs and Budget. So this month, when we met, we went over all of the committee's district needs, and I want to thank all of you guys for doing the work. So we were able to put them in order. We approved, we basically did not go against anything the committees had to offer. We pretty much agreed with the committees. We kept them in the order. The only difference is we've added 2 new requests, and they were both for the community board. One was for, oh God, Angel, help me. One was for a line item asking for an increase for community boards in general. Baseline, thank you. And the other one was for video hybrid technology upgrades, because as you know, we now have hybrid meetings and we need all these cool gadgets and they cost money. And thank you to Councilmember Ayala, we did receive 10,000 for it. But as you know, those are discretionary funds and they do not need to give it to us. Hopefully she will give it to us again, but there are budget cuts and there's other things going on. So with that being said, we were able to vote on that, move it over to executive, and we have our line of budget requests, capital and expense. Any questions? Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Steph. Now, Adem, before we jump in, do you have a question for Steph? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Preliminary, yeah,
Correct.
January. Yeah.
It's a preliminary budget. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Adem, to your further point, you had your hand raised earlier.
Summing up what Isaac said, and I agree with showing up, and it's just, and I could be wrong, but we hadn't had an in-person meeting in, I don't know, let's say 3 years till last month. And it's a little disheartening that, and I'm not gonna presume to know anyone's schedules or personal life, but I don't think we've really had any electeds or their liaisons come to our meeting in person. This is the second one. I do applaud the 2 district leaders who showed up tonight. And it's when we have contentious things like this, and you know, we're here, even with the Target thing, I don't know how much else like our electeds were saying, and we're here, sitting here for 4 hours. You know, I think a liaison, at least somebody could show up, you know, especially considering we hadn't met in all this time. So I just implore them. I know they're doing hard, good work, but it's important to show face here sometimes, I think, not just for us, but for the community who's watching online, or for the people sitting in the audience to see, you know, that you're represented. I think there's that connection when you see people in person. I mean, Zoom's a great tool. You can use it 90% of the time, but after 3 years, just show your face at some point, you know?
Thank you, Adem. That's a good comment, and I will carry that message forward on behalf of this body. I will now move us along to executive. Speaking up, we had a motion was made to approve the letter calling for Target to reconsider their decision to stay in the neighborhood under a new model that would allow it to adapt to the changing landscape. The motion was made by Jose Altamirano with a friendly amendment by Stephanie Arroyo to include the concern of warehousing. The motion was seconded. Please, guys, the crosstalk, we're nearly there. Nearly. The motion was seconded by Jessica Elliott and passed unanimously. I want to applaud the executive committee who convened an emergency meeting last minute to take a position. Mark said he was supportive of us in this position, and we have been trying to get a press conference arranged. SBOT was trying to call one, but want to include Deputy Speaker Ayala, but coordinating schedules didn't align. So it was very frustrating experience, but we were the only ones who came out vociferously on a position calling for them to come back to the table. That letter was submitted to the CEO and their intergov. So yes, Jessica Morris.
And then understanding the planning work housing and to be there to continue the forward to making a statement, making a decision, getting the residents there. It's very tough. So I hope that there's complete discussion at the community level about what that space is to the community and proactively engage in conversations about it.
Thank you, Jessica. There's nothing that inhibits the committees taking preventative and actually holistic action with that, proactive as well. But I think the larger point was that we want a Target to stay. That's what the community wanted. It was the very first, and Candy, who was also on the board at that time, and when our former chair, who's now the Secretary of State, thrust me into the room to talk about marketing and pitch, there was a lot of realities we faced. That was one of the first programs for a local hiring initiative that was tracked over the course of 5 years that was highly successful. And this is in the envisioning, they have a little less than 18 years left on their lease, which is why the concern, as they've changed their business model and they impugned our community, okay, it is up to us to lean into that conversation. But as a private corporation, they have the right to do whatever they want. That's the other thing in the capitalist society we live in. So that's the double edge that we have to walk. And I think we can get them to the table. Otherwise, Blumenfeld Devil Group is having conversations with them and what they want to see and how they want to reimagine it. And we are talking about the other spaces as well, including downstairs, where the PetSmart used to be, that shuttered right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think it was January 2020. So there are ongoing conversations. So thank you for that recommendations. And thank you to the executive committee who convened last minute to take a position. So with that, I will entertain a motion with the executive committee's letter calling Target to reconsider the decision, stay in the neighborhood. Yes, Michelle.
I'd like to make a motion.
Is there a second? Candy? Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next, were two items. Adem, do you want to speak to these or you want me to go ahead? The Colina.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the Colina Bar Corp renewal application for full liquor license, number 1272267. Yeah.
They came to the meeting. They are just a renewal, but they hadn't put up their 7-day posting, which is to notify the community that they're doing that. So at that time, we figured so they could still get their license in time, we'll just send them to the executive. They post at least 7 days before that meeting. But then in the interim between those two meetings, it came out that there was, I think we heard someone speak earlier. I don't know if it's the same person, but that there were some complaints about the establishment. But I asked my liaison, Marlene, every month she sends me the 311. And there were only 3 over like a 2 to 3 year span for this location, which frankly is not cause for concern at all. Like we won't even make someone come in for that few calls. But so I'm not saying that this gentleman hasn't called 311 that we heard earlier, might have called one time. I also heard that whoever was having problems was going in and speaking directly to the establishment. I mean, which, you know, I mean, that's your call. I mean, I think the reason we have 311 sometimes is so people don't feel safe to do that. And there's also a track record because, you know, they'll go and say, we spoke to them, and they'll say, no, they didn't, or yes, they did, but this is what happened or didn't happen. So just going off of what I can see, you know, there were only 3 311s, and we extended an invite to both sides, the applicant and whoever was having the complaints. And at the executive meeting, I believe only the applicant was present. And that's why we, based off of that and the fact that there were really only these 311 over a 2-year span, we approved it. So that's really it.
Thank you. If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion to support the committee's recommendation to approve. Nilsa, and the second, Isaac. All those in favor?
That's the monthly source.
Yeah, hold on, I've got a motion. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The second one is Emmanuel Hernandez, new application for wine, beer, and cider license, number TP 820.23.07802. Adem.
This is like a monthly salsa, and I think we were having, he can get it 4 times a year. But after that, and he likes to do it every month, and it's a nice thing. He puts it on, and I think that the people look forward to going. And, you know, but because of the procedure, and they don't always make sense, after 4, he has to get a letter of no objection every time and come back. And, you know, I'm not a fan of like or I don't think any of us are a fan of making people trying to do good things, make their lives even more difficult, right? Let him spend that time doing the good things he's doing. So I thought the committee made a good recommendation that we extended him, that he would have basically letters of no objection from us for every month through 2023. We're not going to give that forever. And then in 2024, if he comes back, I think, and there's no issues, we could revisit doing that again so that he could just basically come to us that one time and get that. And he said, as long as there's no issues, in which case we do reserve the right to have him come in and answer any questions we have.
So the committee made a motion to support Emmanuel Hernandez new application for wine, beer, and cider license number TP 820.23.07802 for the art space, which is located 215 East 99th Street. And so long as they, with the exception that if the 311 calls, it could be, the board would be able to revoke. Thank you. Jose, Steph, second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Jose, next, number 13. Jose Altamirano made a motion to approve a resolution establishing a policy to allow hybrid meetings and remote participation by members who have a qualifying disability in accordance with open meetings law, section 103-A2C. The motion was seconded by Michelle Wiltshire Clement and passed unanimously. This allows us two things: to be in compliance, nearly there, be in compliance with open meetings law as it pertains to those with the Americans with Disability Act, and also to allow those that have exceptional circumstances that prevent them, say as they're sick, you know, caregiving, et cetera, to be present in the meeting and their vote registered. However, not counting toward quorum, but with the Americans with Disability law, where they would have to attest to why they are absent, whether it's a health issue or whatnot, that would allow them to count toward quorum and vote. So that's what we passed as a resolution. Are there any questions? It has to be in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And we are required. So again, we cannot hold as per HIPAA what those records are, but they can self-attest that they qualify, and we have to take them on their word. And that would allow them to be, if they needed to be absent, but still participate toward quorum and vote. So in keeping with Americans with Disability Act and open meetings law. So we have to pass this resolution for that to happen. And that's so long as we maintain a hybrid environment. If we say no more cameras, then it no longer applies.
There needs to be present for these related behavior. They can be considered part of the forum and their vote and
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I want Beverly. No, this is only to board practice. This is for public meetings law. This is it in our board. So any other questions? Asher. Okay, motion, a second. Rosa, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Last but not least, Jose Altamirano, motion to approve the fiscal year. Let me read it into the record. Motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget requests and prioritizations. Motion was made by Jose Altamirano and seconded by Adem Brija and passed unanimously. Jason? John, this one. John had his hand raised. John, second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Any new business? Candy, you have new business? Why? Wait, what?
And tell us what's going on at the mall, because of Target, you know, it seems like it's been orchestrated, let me just put the right word on it, and it's just that First they started with Petco, we don't have Planet Fitness, we don't have a lot of things anymore that was supposed to be, in agreement when we did the, when we did the mall agreement, and that was very controversial. You think that somebody was, is right now problem, the mall was the biggest problem we had for it. For months and years, and everybody that's been on this board that helped, shape that whole agreement, I feel that, the Gotham, developers, the law enforcement environment, and everybody else, they defaulted on the agreement. And I think we should just go back and see that agreement and make sure that, you know, they come back before all of us, give us space, and let us know exactly what they're really trying to orchestrate besides that housing development that they want to do up there on the Pleasant Avenue. You know, I mean, we're losing a lot of economic development, and that's really a lot of money in our community. There's a lot of jobs that are being lost. You know, we're going through a lot of hard times, and even though they're gonna say it's about the thievery, that's been going on from here to forget it. So those are just excuses, you know, but East Harlem is getting short-changed with the economic development piece. 116th Street is starting to look like a desert. 125th Street, it looks crazy. Like, we don't have any more business vibrant in our community. That monies are leaving our community. We're shopping out of our community. We're not patronizing most of the businesses that we have. And the ones that we do have is not enough. So I just know that these individuals that we supported back then have to come back and show their accountability. All right, because we're accountable to the residents that was so upset when we supported that problem. The project and all.
Candy, I think we will start examining that, and I will have I've been having ongoing conversations with D&G, with Rafaela Petrasic over there at D&G. So those are ongoing conversations. So thank you. Every committee, if relevant committee, should be having this discussion going forward. So thank you, Candy. So with that, you have new business? Old business? Okay, roll call.
Jose Altamirano, don't leave yet. Stephanie Arroyo. April Autry is excused. Mark B. Adem Briha. Jahai Chaudhry. Kenneth Crouch. Rosa Diaz. Angela Donadell. Jessica Elliott. Judith Fabrado. Judith? All right. John Green. John Green.
Quiet.
David Giordano. Annie Hansen. Wanda Hopkins. Jewel Jones. Sharon Lynch. Beverly McFarland. Giselle Malave. Malik McCullough. Jennifer Mayer. Alicia Miranda. Jessica Morris. Jessica. All right. Nilsa Orama. Claudia Perez. Eugene Rodriguez. Eugene. Xavier. Isaac. Russell. Loretta. No, she wasn't here. Asher Rodriguez. Beverly Pabon. All right. Jason Villanueva. Candy Vives Vasquez. Me, Michelle Jordan Wright. And Jason Wu. Good night, everyone.
Good night.